to have a beautiful friend. Her name is Vanesa Castillo. She's an extraordinary mindset coach. She doesn't give you the answer or advice. She just asks you all these deep reflection questions on how to regain our confidence and power back, especially for us women.
Go towards their goals and achieve what they wanted to do. And at the end of this day, just be happy.
How it got to where you are now, what's inspired you, because I really always fascinated when people find their purpose, find their why. So I'd love to if you can share the story about that, would be great.
I'm a leadership and empowerment coach for women, especially in corporate. So many women have lost the spark, has lost the confidence, have lost so much of themselves in their jobs. They just don't feel like they have a purpose anymore or that they're aligned with their values anymore. So I help them find that back.
I love your LinkedIn post that you said you started at 50s, right? Like it was, yeah. And some people say it's never too late. I was like, yeah, that's a good point, Vanessa.
Yeah, it's never too late. And again, a lot of the women I help are over 50. Why not start after 50? I have a lot of energy. I want to start something new. So yes, absolutely.
One day you lost your job, your corporate.
A big group that I was managing, global teams, but inside there was a lot missing. And I didn't feel I was aligned with my values. And I didn't feel like what I was doing made a difference to me anymore.
Welcome to the Wisdom Inside Out podcast. Today, I am so thrilled and grateful to have a beautiful friend. Her name is Vanesa Castillo. She's also an extraordinary mindset coach. You know, as part of our graduation and practice, I have a chance to had a few coaching sessions with Vanessa, and I absolutely love her style. She doesn't give you the answer or advice. She just asks you all these deep reflection questions that guide you to a place that you never been to before, but you were surprised with this clarity and directions from inside. I'm so excited for her time to share her wisdom and insight with us today. And we're going to dive on a topic, transitions from a corporate world to a entrepreneurship is shifting from a scarcity mindset to a growth and abundant mindset, and how to regain our confidence and power back, especially for us women, as a mother and coming to the office, whether we have any, like a demanding boss or really impact our confidence. Vanessa going to share all this wisdom and insight, what she's been through and how she's transformed her life. I'm so excited to dive in and talk about this topic today. Welcome to my podcast, Vanessa.
Thank you, Lena, and thank you so much for that heartfelt introduction. I loved working with you. You just have such an interesting life and how you overcame so many things yourself. So I really, really enjoyed our time together, and I'm super excited to do this with you.
Thank you so much. Vanessa, for my audience and people that doesn't know what you do, a little bit background about yourself. Can you let us share a little bit story how it got to where you are now? What's inspired you? Because I really always fascinated when people find their purpose, find their why. So I'd love to if you can share the story about that, would be great.
Absolutely. So currently, I'm a leadership and empowerment coach for women, especially in corporate, that have lost that spark, that just can't find the energy to continue doing what they're doing. They may be successful on paper, but they just don't feel like they have a purpose anymore or that they're aligned with their values anymore. So I help them find that back. And the way that I got here really is a long story that I'll make short. So I have over 25 years of experience in the corporate pharmaceutical industry, over 20 of those in leadership. And I've done so many different roles and always had a role where I was a line manager and a mentor for women because the pharmaceutical industry is probably 80 to 90% women. And earlier this year, I found myself without a job and I had a choice to make. And I needed to decide, do I want to go back to the same corporate role or do I want to do something different? Because I was in that place. I was in the place where the title looked great, the job looked great. I had a big group that I was managing, global teams, but inside there was a lot missing. And I didn't feel I was aligned with my values. And I didn't feel like what I was doing made a difference to me anymore. So I decided to sign up for the Jay Shetty coaching school and become a coach. And I had done coaching on the side, like fitness and nutrition, but this time I wanted to focus on helping women in leadership and basically get out of where I was for the last year or two and just serve women that are in leadership. And as you said in the introduction, so many women have lost the spark, has lost the confidence, have lost so much of themselves in their jobs that I find it fascinating and it's so powerful to end your day knowing you helped someone go towards their goals and achieve what they wanted to do. And at the end of this day, just be happy, right?
Yeah.
What better job than that? Make women happy.
I know. I know. I always think like when I start doing coaching, and maybe I'm biased, but I was like, this is the best job. You get to share what you learn. You learn so much from your clients, all these human behaviors and stuff like that. And then you get to see them having that aha moment, that breakthrough, and, shifting from like, I'm not enough, or, this is not possible for me, to something like, oh, I'm actually start walking. It's actually possible, and all this. It's just so, so powerful. It's just beautiful job.
Absolutely. Yes. I couldn't be happier about my decision. It was a scary one, I have to say,
Yeah.
but it's been wonderful.
Yeah. I love your LinkedIn post that you said you started at 50s, right? Like it was, yeah. And some people say it's never too late. It's like, yeah, that's a good point, Vanessa.
Yeah, it's never too late. And again, a lot of the women I help are over 50 and have gotten to that point where they feel, you know what? I'm just closer to retirement. I don't want to do other things, but they're
Mhm.
unhappy and they just feel miserable day in and day out. So why not start after 50? I have a lot of energy. I want to start something new. So, yes, absolutely.
Just want to go back, how you said, one day you lost your job, your corporate, I have a few clients who also got made redundant because it's part of their identity, because they were in that. It was since they were graduate, they're always working, and then suddenly they got made redundant. They feel like there's something's missing, part of their identity, and they will struggle to find a new purpose. So, what was that on? What was in that moment that you shift like Jay Shetty? Like I know you said it was a scary, but it seems like part of you know there's something's missing. So it's
Yeah.
hard for you to shift into Jay Shetty and coaching.
So the reality was that for the last year really in my corporate role, I was very unhappy. I had a lot of responsibilities, but I was bored. I wasn't learning new things, and I'm someone that always likes learning new things. And
Mm.
so on the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, maybe I want to quit my job and do coaching, but it's scary, right? Because when you've always been in a role where you are in a corporate job, you get a paycheck, right? At the end of the month, every month, no matter what, you get a paycheck. You go on vacation, you get the same paycheck. And the pharmaceutical industry pays pretty well as well. So I really thought to myself and I said, I have a golden opportunity. I had been in the company for a long while, for a few years, and so they made my job redundant. They let me off, and they gave me a package. And I said, "This financial package, I am going to use it for myself. I am going to do something that will help me grow." So, on the one hand, the financial piece was scary because I was not going to be in a situation where I knew at the end of the month, this is my paycheck. Now I was going to put myself in a situation where I had to make my own business, right? I had to bring my own clients. I had to build my own business. And on the one hand, that scared me. But on the other hand, it was exciting because I always loved doing something new, learning something new. And thankfully, I was in a position where my daughter's already off to college. I have a house. I don't have to pay for those things, and I'm pretty independent financially. So why not give myself the opportunity to do something that I can prove to myself I can also do? Right? I have never done this. And so it was actually funny the way you say it, because yes, I got laid off January 10th, and January 11th is when I signed up for the Jay Shetty school. It was I think it was kind of in the morning when you have that call with HR and your boss comes in, and then you see HR come in and you're like, okay, I know what's happening, because I knew the company was going through layoffs. And I think I stopped listening to everything they were going to say, because I was in their shoes as well before. I had to let go of people. And so I knew the script. And in that moment, my mind shifted to, okay, what am I going to do now? And that's when I started thinking. I hung up the phone. I had a conversation with my partner. And then I was just scrolling on Instagram and I saw Jay Shetty, and I said, this is the time. This is what I need to do. And so I thought about it. The next day I signed up for it. It is still scary, right? Because I'm building my own business, but I still think, 9 months later, 10 months later, I still think it was the best decision. And funny part is that a few days later, I got a call from an executive that I had worked with before, and he said, "I heard you're not at your company anymore, and you were made redundant. I have a great opportunity for you at my new company. I think this role is exactly for you." And I had to take a deep breath, right? Because it's almost like destiny is challenging your decisions. And so I was like, oh my God, this feels so exciting. It was a good job. The money was going to be great.
Yeah, familiar, right? I want to go back to that for me.
And yes, and then I said, you know what? No, I'm doing this for myself. I'm going to stick to my guts. I know this is what I want to do. And I still have no regrets.
Wow. Some clients, they would be like, oh, it took me like a few months. And the purpose is like 3 weeks that I experienced that for them to grieve their old role, like, what they're losing. But I think yours was pretty quick jump, like the next day. And
It
and I'm
just
glad how
felt like
you
it was right.
yeah. And I'm glad how you mentioned you get a test. You know, I would say majority of people would say, yes, I'll go back because that looked more familiar to me. This unknown always looks so scary. And this is why I said sometimes if it feels scary and then exciting at the same time, go for it because it's something's calling you. And especially, when you've been thinking about, like, I want to try the coaching. You've been thinking about it for a long time, but because of your comfort zone keep pulling you back to the same place. But the fact that you never give up on that idea, you really should give it a go as well, because regardless what people tell you, regardless what you've been through, that ideas never go away. That's mean there's something big
Hmm.
the case as well. So I would love to hear from you for people that in the positions that they're so scared to step out of that comfort zone. Like, let's say they're in your position, but they're not made redundant, but they feel like there's something missing. They feel the job is not really stretching them or growing them anymore, but they're too scared. They have this calling for doing something else, but the income and stuff is a bit different to take that big jump. What would you what would you recommend, or what would you share, any story that helped them to see the direction a bit clearer, or to jump, taking decision a lot
Yeah. And actually, I have a few clients that are exactly in that position, and they reached out to me because they heard my story.
Mm,
And they said, I want to work with you because I want you to help me here. And really, the number one thing, it's something that I discuss with them. What is the risk of inaction? Right? So, what is the risk of not doing it? We're very quick to think about the risk of doing it, right? So,
mm,
I may lose my paycheck and I have all these things to take care of, and I lose what I know. This is going to be new. But what is the risk of not doing it? And the
mm,
answer is always surprising, right? Because they really didn't they thought about it like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be as happy, but they didn't internalize it. I have one client that she was still at her job, but she reached out to me because she felt super unhappy. And I had worked with this person before, and I asked her, just close your eyes and think about this in a year from now.
mm,
Right? Because she was also super fearful of doing it. She had gotten a few rejection letters, and that had just brought her down so
mm,
much,
mm,
eating at her confidence even more. Right? And I said, just close your eyes. If you're not going to do anything about this in a year, how do you feel? Just keep your eyes closed and let your body tell you. And she opened her eyes, looked surprised, and said, that made me sick to my stomach.
mm,
And she said, and the reason is not necessarily because I'm on the same place, but the
mm,
reason is because I'm on the same place and I didn't do anything about it. It was in my
mm,
power to do it. So then it was easy, right? Put
mm,
those rejection letters on the one hand, where we can always transform that feeling into learning versus failure,
mm,
and the feeling of feeling sick to your stomach because you never tried. And she
mm,
said, this, the feeling of my stomach is a lot heavier.
mm,
Well, then let's get working on it. And honestly, 6 weeks later, she had an offer for a job that was almost a dream job for her.
mm,
So
mm,
that was a pivotal moment from one of my clients that I'm so proud of, because you just need to think, really think, and internalize what will happen if you don't do anything and you're in the same place and it's your own fault because you didn't try.
mm. Yeah, so beautiful. I love this. It make a lot easier and clear. I'm glad you brought this up, because sometimes because they're so stuck in this zone, they can't get
Hmm.
out of this box. And then it's good that you bring up this future scene for them to shift and to see, like, how painful it is to stay in the same spot.
Yeah.
I believe, like, for us human beings, we all love growing. If you're not love growing, that's mean there's some sort of, I think, past trauma or something, that it's a scarcity. If you're in the right environment, like, just say in a safe and trust environment, you would want to stretch just like a plant. We would want to stretch. We would want to see our power, and
Yeah.
how far can we go. So this is why I feel like when I get into this, it's like you no longer for me, I no longer focus on the outcome anymore. I'm more focused on the process because every step, every decisions that I made is like, oh yes, I'm growing, oh I'm learning. So it I used to be like, wait until I have that, I'll be happy. No, I'm happy to taking every new challenges now in life because it
Hmm.
makes me, to me, it's already a winning because I'm stretching from my comfort zone, you know. As they saying, the ship is designed to move. It's not to stay in one spot. So yeah. So I love how you explain it, and I'm sure it's a lot clearer for the audience to see and question that themselves. So, you
Yeah.
know, as you have a lot of experience from a corporate world and then become starting all over again as an entrepreneur, you know, would want to know what are the skills that turn out well when you're starting your own business? What can you bring from the corporate? And what I think, you know, what can you bring and what you shouldn't be bringing, what you need to unlearn and what you need to relearn. So I love to hear your thought on this.
Yeah, and there's plenty of both. I'll start with the easy part, which is the skills that are helping me and have helped me tremendously through this is a lot of what I was doing was project management, right? Managing projects, managing timelines, managing teams to accomplish what they set out to do. And so I'm a very structured person. And so I would every day, for example, going through the school, I would do my schoolwork. I had at least 4 hours for this, for like a couple hours. And I was very structured in how I approached that. And I graduated having all of the requirements done ahead of time. And then since then, building the business has been incredibly easy to structure because I have almost like my work schedule, right?
Mm,
I wake up, I work out, I get with the computer, I do a few trainings, then I apply. So the process of being organized and manage my business as I used to manage a project,
mm,
that has been very easy for me. I don't need anyone to ask me, "What did you do today?" I don't need anyone to ask
mm,
me, um, wh I mean, "What are you working towards?" I always know, I always have an objective. When I see myself slowing down, I notice and I put myself a new goal. I said, "Okay, I need something else now. I need to work maybe on a course, or let me work on this other thing that will bring my focus back." All of this when I'm not coaching. And then just the easy part of using all of this, right? Zoom calls and meetings and having schedules is second nature
mm,
to me. So all of that is something I'm bringing. And then also the skills for leading meetings. Now I'm doing webinars where I discuss a lot of the things that women are going through. I had one for um, courage to confidence, and I'm doing another one in growth mindset next week. And for me, it's just so easy to get on screen, have a lot of little screens on the computer of women that I'm talking to and make it interactive. It's again second nature because I used to do that all the time.
mm, mm.
Now, if we think about the things that I shouldn't bring with me, those are more interesting. And part of it is also what makes me successful, that structure, right?
Mm,
And feeling like deliverables need to be perfect. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry. There's lives at stake. There's all these regulatory agencies that are controlling what you do. And you have all these rules and these processes. And all of that held me back at the beginning because when I was thinking about, okay, I need to put up this product, this coaching business that, and I was getting lost in the forms, in the process, in the all the things and checklists of things that I needed to do versus just getting the word out there. Hey, I'm a
mm,
coach and this is what I can do for you.
mm.
before I had all the structure behind me was scary.
Mm, mm.
So I think that's part of what, again, didn't necessarily help me, because it and I find myself doing that regularly, and then I just stop myself. I'm like, no, I need to let go of this, because we all know,
Mm.
right? We learn as we go. It's
Yeah.
never oh, I made the decision, from now on I'm perfect. That never
No,
works.
no way.
So yeah, so a little bit of that perfectionism and making sure that everything is perfect before you put it out there, I think is
Mm.
something that pulls me back sometimes.
Mhm.
And I just need to get over it.
Yeah. Yes. I I can resonate, especially when we start something new, whether we learn how to walk for the first time, whether we're doing the slide presentation for the first time. It's always you have to, I think, procrastination just because you're waiting for a perfect moment. And then the more you're waiting, the more you're wasting time. And sometimes, it's never happen when you want to see that whole take one step and you want to see that whole big picture. You just can't. So just one small step, one baby step, like you said, just to make yourself people know that you're a coach first, just one small baby step at the time. And once you take that step, you just know what to do next, right? But then we seems to take so long to before we taking that first step because we're waiting for that perfectionist,
Hmm.
and being that perfectionist is also coming down with, fear of judgment, fear of being seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I love to hear, when you said that you cut yourself, like with all this, a lot of the reason we're doing our coaching because a lot of clients they didn't have that awareness. They didn't see that blind spot. How do you if for clients that they didn't know what is their subconscious patterns, like what they learn from their past experience and they still continue without knowing. How how do you help them to maybe recognize a pattern? Like, how do they see this pattern is no longer serve me to pick up the pattern a lot quicker? I don't know
Yeah. Well, I mean,
if you can try to explain.
yeah, no, and it's a great question, and it reminds me of a conversation I actually had earlier today with one of my clients. But the first step is to actually have a coach. It's so incredibly valuable, right? And
Mm,
that's exactly what my client said today. That's what I have you for. I mean, I didn't even see that. We
mm,
were working on her looking at what does she want to do next. And she wants something new, she wants something different. But then when I asked the question of, okay, what do you want to do? She kept getting stuck on
mm,
this kind of department, this kind of company, and this. But then what she wanted was a strategic role that isn't necessarily tied to, but should be part of. And I said, You realize what you're doing, right? I said, You want this role that's not defined by a department or a type of company that provides services to the clinical research and pharmaceutical industry. But on the other hand, when I ask you to describe what type of role you want, you get lost on the department and the type of company, and you can't get yourself out of it. So I think having a coach helps tremendously, because it's so much easier for us
mm,
on the other side to spot that, right? When you're talking about something, you get hung up on the same thing and you don't see it.
mm,
But then the other thing that I recommend to a lot of my clients a lot is when you're getting stuck on a thought and a pattern, and sometimes you kind of know that it's kind of holding you back, but you're not quite sure exactly how, or you can identify it. Go for a nature walk.
mm,
I talk to I'm big on fitness, nutrition, and just getting a little bit of physical activity done. And I tell them, just go out for a walk, get out of the environment, and have that thought again. And just ask questions to yourself the same way that I'm asking you the questions. And it's actually pretty funny how they come up with their own answers and their own
Mm.
question,
Yeah, yeah,
right? It's just you just need to step out of the environment you're in
yeah.
uh, to be able to see it in a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with you. The quickest way is to see a coach. It's like someone they're holding a mirror for you. It's a quicker, like you're looking in the mirror, you can see reflection straight away. Where versus if you're inexperienced, you try to find it yourself. It's hard to see it because it blends in so many distractions. Um, yeah, and I like it as well. Like you mentioned about the answer usually in the question. If you go back to that question and concentrate on that question long enough. Like don't people usually they will go back and they expect like a quick, like a modern day nowadays, impatient. You expect a quick response. You wouldn't get that because you need a deep reflection. You need to concentrate on the question, and you have some
Yeah.
ideas. And I usually ask my clients, like what is your ongoing complaint? Because if you keep having the same ongoing complaint, to me, that's a block. That is a block you from growing. So you need to either write it down or recording. And what is the desire for you to complain and what you want to get out of this complaining? What is the desire state will tell you what you truly want, not what other people think you want. Because sometimes people get confused between what you truly want and what I should do, because of that
Hmm.
logic reason what they should do versus. So yeah, I love how you mentioned all those points. It's really handy for a person that want to hire a coach or they want to try it themselves, but always recommend
Yeah.
the quickest way is a
And
coach.
and another thing that I've talked to a lot of my clients recently is journaling, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because you say journaling, and we all go back to when we were young and kids and had our diary,
Me.
right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
and then if you have a brother, you know that's a no-no. You're always afraid of what you're going to write because your brother is going to come steal it and read it to his friends. And I did have a brother.
Me too.
So I got out of journaling, and then now that I'm older, I find value on it again.
Yeah.
But it's very important that we set out to journal with a question in mind.
Mm,
I had one of my clients that said, "Yeah, I've been trying to journal. I just even gave myself a timeline, and I said, okay, like on in the mornings when I wake up with my coffee, I'm gonna grab my journal. I'm gonna journal." I was like, okay. And she's like, but it's a blank page. I'm like, because you asked yourself no questions. So start your journaling asking yourself the question that's been in your mind, and
mm,
then you can answer it. If you can't think of anything like that, just have a prompt for yourself. What is it that scares me
mm,
today? What is
mm,
it that will make me, and sometimes people don't like the scare word, but what is it that makes you uneasy? What
mm.
makes you pause? And then write why. And then magically, you're writing 3 pages later.
Yeah.
So just have a prompt for yourself when you're journaling. And if you can't think of any, let me know. I'll email you a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So that's usually what I tell my clients, and it's really very powerful because when you
Powerful.
write and then you read it,
Yes.
and you ask the person that wrote it, which is the you of maybe half hour earlier,
Yeah.
a question, it's so powerful.
So powerful writing. I growing up, like I was the type I was shy. I didn't dare to share much of my story. And one of my releasing is I have my diary as well. So, I write how I feel every day. I didn't go back and read it that often, but this time when I read it, I
Mhm.
was like, oh my God, I'm so traumatic. Like just my mom didn't allow me to go to that party, birthday party. I was like, and when you read back, because everything in our thought is hard to see, so you have to catch it. But when you put it in writing, it's so easy to see the way you think, and you it's not common sense. Sometimes we just stuck in our spiral of thought, and it's just based on our emotions. If you don't feel good, everything linked to that feeling. So this is why writing a diary, just writing down how you feel, go back and read it, and you were not
Yeah.
problematic for us, like, hasn't been traumatic. So, but if you don't write it down and you don't go back and see it, you will still continue on that feeling and that thought. So,
Yeah.
yes, to me, I find writing a diary really helpful for me in term of learning. I didn't go back and read it that much because it was just my way of releasing my stress. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have definitely will grow a lot more if I go back regularly and pay attention to all those stored patterns. Yes, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know how to change or reframe or whatever. But it's a lot easier to see your blind spots.
Yeah. It's almost like you're your own coach.
Yeah, definitely. Because you hold all the answer. Like
Mm-hmm.
for us as a coach, we only hold the mirror, reflect back for them, right? To see what they didn't see. Which is why I agree with you. It's the easiest way for you to grow, right? And where you don't have to
Yeah.
try to find out your blind spot. But diary is also, if you can't afford a coach, is another way of for you to learn yourself. But then because you learn, sometimes you don't know how to reframe it. What is the strategy to shift from a scarcity mindset to a growth mindset? And that's why you need someone that have the skills and a process. Like I totally agree with you. With nowadays, with all this information, there's always a process for everything. It's the matter is that, are you making a decision to choose that process or not? Because they're so helpful with all different information and help you for all different type of process that you can get to from A to B, from where you are to the next level. It just
Mm-hmm.
take actions, right? You have to make decision and you have to take action. But there is a lot of resource and process that can help people nowadays, I think. What do you think on that?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, it's just you have to be resourceful,
Mm.
right? And I follow a lot Tony Robbins, and he's always saying that don't say you don't have time, money. There's always that resource if you're resourceful,
Mm,
right? So you always have to make an effort to find what you're looking for.
mm,
And so exactly that goes back to if you really want to understand yourself, yes, a coach is the best way to go. We're catalysts. We're going to take you from A to B probably faster. But if that's not something you have, you can still be resourceful. You can journal, you can ask your own questions, and you can just really think about how you feel. And I think, and you're right, when I was little, I didn't read my journal either. And I don't even have it anymore, so I couldn't even go back to it
mhm,
to find out how dramatic I was, because I'm sure it was. But and now going back to read it, maybe the next day, you actually see how you were just making a world of nothing.
mm,
Because when you're in the moment, it's very difficult to
mm,
identify what's blocking you. But
mm.
when you look at it from a little bit of a outsider's perspective, you can find what you're looking for.
Definitely, definitely. And yeah, I think sometimes, the scary thing is not what's in the reality. Most of the time, I would say sometimes, most of the time, it's not, probably 10% is from the reality, 90% from your thoughts scaring you, you know, where it stop you from getting to a lot of opportunities that you
Yeah.
would have been um, reached to. So I just want to come back to talking about growth mindset. I'm really fascinated about it. I know you're really fascinated about that as well, because two people can look at exact same thing, but one people with scarcity mindset will only see the problems, People with the
Yeah.
growth and abundant mindset only see opportunities and grow. There's opportunities. So if if you have a growth mindset motto, like what would it be and why? Um, I would love to hear your motto on
Yeah, yeah. It's a
maybe
little
some case
long,
study
but
example as well if you can get.
yeah, so I can give you the thought first, which is a little long to put on a little frame, but it is nonetheless the growth mindset really is looking at negative outcomes not as failures but as learning opportunities,
Mm,
right? So I've always been fascinated with the mindset, and I just recently read the book by Carol Dweck, Mindset, and she talks about the concept of growth mindset and fixed mindset.
mm,
And one story that really kind of, I think, summed it up for me was there was this very young golf player. She was, I think, in her teenage years, and she wanted to sign up for the older league.
mm,
And everybody told her, "Oh no, don't do that. You're going to be so discouraged because you're probably not going to win." I mean, she was in a winning streak in the league that she was in. She
mm,
was one of those people that they're like, "Oh my God, you're going to get a scholarship for this." And she was one of the best, but she wanted to go sign up on an older league. And people thought that it was because she thought she was the best and she was, and so they, no, you're going to be very disappointed, and it's going to bring your energy and enthusiasm for the sport down. And she said, I want to sign up for the older league to learn how they play.
mm,
I don't, it's not that I want to play to win. I want to play to learn. So if
mm,
I lose every single one of my matches in that league, I will learn so much of how people play in that league that when I get there by her normal progression,
mm.
I will be so further ahead of everybody else.
Wow.
So she had this, I mean, for a young girl, this incredible mindset where
Mm,
losing was not a failure, it was a learning opportunity.
yeah.
Right. And so that was from the book, and it really stuck to me. And it's one of the things that I used with my client, where she felt like the rejection letters or the calls for, no, you didn't get the job,
Mm,
were failures. And that really brought her down to the point where she didn't want to apply to other things.
mm,
But we talk it through, and I started asking her questions. And what did you feel didn't go right on that interview? And this and that, and the way I answered this. And I said, well, you know exactly where to improve for the next one. So instead of
mm,
feeling like it's a failure, just think about maybe that was not the right opportunity for you. And now you have the tools to be able to succeed on the next interview, which is the one that you really are a great fit for.
mm,
And that shifted her mindset from a fixed mindset of a negative answer was a failure to a growth mindset of I am going to learn from this negative feedback and
mm.
apply it to my next one. I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible. It opens so many opportunities for you.
Mm, yeah. That's beautiful. I love the story that you share. It's remind me of my parenting with my kids. I know a lot of parents they focus on credential, between, but for me, I want to focus the internal foundation. So, regardless of my son doing the test or the getting to the next stage or whatever, I'm neutral. Like if he can get it, that's great. But even though he can't, I'm still happy too because it's going to build his resilience. I want
Mm-hmm.
him to fail as much as possible during the time that he with me because he got my support, like how to guide him to go through all this feeling. Like, okay, when you experience this, that's how you shift to see it, right? It's on the growth mindset. And, so every time now he feeling that he's he's doing something challenging and hard, he feel good because it's mean that he is growing. And I was teaching him about, um, growth doesn't come in comfortable, it's messy. But then if you feel that you are comfortable, that's not a good sign. You're actually shrinking. So if you
Yeah,
feel uncomfortable, you're doing something new, you should be proud because you are actually stretching your potential to the next level. So you are growing. So
absolutely.
yeah. So and now when he's preparing for his selective or whatever, he would just like he don't look at us in a way I'm a failure because it's so hard for me. But he look at us like, hey, I'm actually moving from the A to B now because it is hard, but he know that he's not staying the same spot. Because if he feel it's easy, then he's not learning anything, he's not growing. So in a way, I think to shift that mindset from a very young age and seeing failure is not it's not a bad, it's all about life teaching you to extract that
Yeah.
lesson so you can use it in the next chapter of your life. So you gaining because you're learning something new.
Absolutely. And that is so beautiful, Lena. And I love that you're applying it with your kids. I mean, these days we have the culture of all these participation trophies, right? Because
Mm.
everybody needs to feel like a winner. And then
Mm.
they get to the job market and it's so depressing
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
because not everything is a winning, right?
yeah.
And so just teaching kids to be like that from a young age. And I have to admit, when I started my career, when now like just thinking about it and looking at how I behaved and what brought me to where I am today, at the beginning of my career, I think I had a very fixed mindset, right? I had to be the best. I was an A-type personality. I had to strive for more. I had to.
Mm.
And thankfully, through the years, I don't know if I matured or learned. I don't know what to tell
Like
you,
that.
but I changed that, right,
Mm.
into looking at the learning opportunities where, if you ask me, I think the culmination of that was the
Mm.
day I got laid off. I
Mm.
didn't sat I didn't sit down and cried. I said, okay, let's move forward. Let's actually do what I wanted to do and didn't take the risk of doing. Let's take it as my
Mm.
calling to say, this is what you need to do. And so I mean, I'm fascinated by the growth mindset. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. And it's fascinating. I think maybe part of it, you deep down, you already know like something's missing. You reckon I'm talking about your shifting from the redundancy to the coaching industry. You know, it was really quick move for you. So do you think you already have some thought of some calling long time ago? That's why it didn't take you that long time to grieve and you move on so quickly. And even those people offered another
Yeah.
role, you didn't take it. So, do you think it's already within you, but you're not aware of that or something is not working right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on, and I think it was something where I always say the same thing. If I had a coach, then I probably would have quit my job 3 years ago or 2 years ago, where I really felt like I was a hamster in a wheel. Like you see these little hamsters right in the running wheel, where they're running but they're going nowhere.
Okay.
And it was okay. It's Monday. Let's get to work. And Tuesday was, oh, it's Friday. Yay, the weekend. But then it's Sunday and tomorrow is Monday. I know, oh my God. And it just felt like I was living just to get to
Mm.
the weekend. And I only enjoyed like a day and a half of my weekend because Sundays I was already fretting what was going to happen on Monday. And that cycle was probably through the better part of the last couple years. And
Mm.
so, yeah, something in me was stirring. Something in me was saying, why am I not
Go
liking
ahead.
this?
Yeah.
I remember when somebody asked me, probably about 10 years ago, um, what do you want to do when you retire? Because typical here, right? Especially in the US, you retire, but not really. I mean, you retire, but then you do something you want to do.
Mm,
And my answer to him at the time was, I don't know. I just love what I do. I'm probably just going to continue doing it until I'm 80.
mm,
I was, I think, a little immature at the time and just fascinated with what I was doing. And
mm,
when I look back, I was still growing, I was still
mm.
learning.
Yeah,
And when I look at the last couple years in my career, I was not growing, I was not learning.
mm,
I was busy, but getting nowhere.
yeah,
With my personal career, my clients were getting somewhere, maybe my company was getting somewhere, but I wasn't personally.
right.
So you're absolutely right. It was almost like a force that said, "Wake up. You know
Yeah,
what you need to do. Just
yeah,
wake up already."
yeah, yeah. And it came in the perfect time. You're just so ready and move on so fast. And yeah, and I love it how you talk about hamster wheel because I feel like a lot of people were so rushing to get in the doing, the performing, but lack of clarity and direction. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why we're stuck in there because look, I feel talking from my own experience, I've done a lot of things, but then all those things, it wasn't from a clarity of what I really want. It was more of what my family, what is the culture. This is why I stopped asking my kids, what do you want to do? Because they will probably see people around you and they were thinking about doing. I start asking them what makes you happy, what you have passion on doing, what you like doing, and to so
Yes.
that they push them to do on the things that spark their joys, their life. So yeah, so for me later on when I start with cancer, like going through cancer, slowing down in life that I get to look inward, like I get to find my clarity, my direction. And that's when I start turning outward for for actions. So inward for clarity and direction and outward for take action. But before I didn't turn inward. So I was constantly outward. So I'm doing so many things but getting nowhere because because I didn't have that clarity. But everything like you said, it's just all about extracting the experience because you went through all that. That's when you get to see, oh, connecting the
Yeah.
dot and it makes sense. Vanessa, I know both of us very fascinated and love the topic on growth mindset and this is what we're doing now. So I would love to ask you a little bit more. I know maybe you can share a little bit story from yourself or your clients because I believe mindset, it changed everything. Like I mentioned earlier, you look at exactly if you look two people can go and look exactly same thing. There is a free bangle. This is I heard it from Simon Sinek. He said that his friend wanna him and his friend want a bangle but his friend will only see the queue, and he didn't see the queue. He's just like, "I want a free bangle," so he just go and get it. So this is the mindset. You look at exactly same thing. One is just seeing the problem, and one is seeing that I can get it. So
Yeah.
and this is why I fascinate as well because this is why I want to get into parenting because I feel like I want to get to the root where everything's starting from home and if you're starting from an early age, I teach my kids um, about this growth mindset, in leadership as a student, what can he see, what can he do at whatever grade he is, it can start from all level. It doesn't have to be in a corporate or at school or if you're a student. And I also like teach my kids to train them to focus on attentions for on a growth mindset, such as, like what did you do to add value to others today? Like every single day, on top of the gratitude, I ask him this every day. What did you do that add value to others? Because one is because I believe in kindness. Two, because I believe business is all about you serve others. The more you serve others, you will get back in a currency or money and as an energy to swap back, right? So I would love to hear for you to maybe to make it easier for our audience to understand a little bit more, because for me, having the mindset, it changed everything. And this is
Yeah.
why I really want people to get out of that scarcity mindset to that growth and abundant mindset, um, it's yeah, you can reframe everything, just look at, for example, a person going for a tattoo, right? If you don't want to get tattoo, you was like, oh, the pain. You was like, oh, this is not worth it. But for people that they want it, they will sit there and smile with the pain on, but they will think this is all worth it. So it's not really about the pain. It's all about how you look at things and how you translate it in your mind. So I would love to hear
Absolutely.
if you could share a little bit of story, or maybe help our audience to,
Yeah.
what they really need to focus on to, hey, this is a fixed or scarcity mindset. And what angle do I have to shift from my perspective angle to a worldview to see the abundant and growth mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's the topic is absolutely fascinating. And I did a lot of reflection on myself as well, right? Because I wanted to understand why at the beginning of my career and in my life in general, everything had to be perfect. And I had to be doing perfect and I had to be better. And I was never good in sports. I could not really, I mean, this is funny, but I love working out, but I cannot do a team sport because I can't take that losing. And if it's a team
Mm,
sport,
mm,
losing and potentially being the reason my team lost. Oh my God, that
mm,
just paralyzes me. And I'm trying to think about, okay, where did I get that? And in reading this book, I also found that it describes really the fixed mindset as a mindset that thinks that your potential is limited and defined, right? So you can be this much of great or intelligence or but the growth mindset thinks or really talks about having some skills, but your potential is infinite. It only depends on how much you feed it and how much you grow it. And it goes into, for example, if a kid doesn't do well in school, never tell him you're dumb, you're not
mm,
intelligent.
mm,
The question should be, how much effort did you put into it? Right.
mm,
And there's the difference. Right. Or if a kid does excellent and is one, like in my school, it was always out of 10, right? The grading at 10 was the best. So if you got a 10 on everything, you were awesome.
mm,
You were so intelligent. But the
mhm,
reality is that that's the fixed mindset. A growth mindset would be, well, that's great. You were not challenged enough,
mm.
right? And it goes
Yeah.
back to some of what you were saying earlier as well, which is I love it. And thinking back about my own childhood, my dad always would tell me, you're so intelligent, you're so this, you're so that. And I had to always prove to him, right? Because I loved my dad. I
Yeah.
always had to prove to him that I was the most intelligent, that I was all of this. And so when that's what you believe, any feedback for improvement, it's almost like a dagger. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I wasn't the best. There's something
Yeah.
that could
Yeah.
have done better. And
Yeah.
so a fixed mindset would take it as you're not good enough. A growth mindset will take it as this is what I need to improve on. And this is my opportunity to be able to grow. Right.
Mm,
And so when I think about my career now, at the beginning, those typical, I mean, in the corporate world, you get at least a yearly performance review, and it would
mm,
go through what you did well, what you didn't, blah, blah, blah. Any constructive feedback at the beginning of my career, I took it very harsh on myself. Right. It always had to be perfect. And I saw
mm,
it as I need to be perfect. But
mm,
then as I grew in my career, one of my mentors said, the more you grow into higher levels, the more feedback constructive feedback is a gift.
Mm.
That gives you the thread of where to go to grow and learn
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
become better. If everybody
Mm.
tells you you're so amazing,
Mm.
how do you know what you could improve on? How do you know where to put your energy to become your
Mhm.
better self? But if
Mhm.
somebody gives you feedback, now you can hold on to that and thank the person because it's not easy either.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's hard to give feedback and potentially again crush somebody's hopes. But um, just utilize that feedback as the fuel to get better.
Mm.
And for me, that's something that really has shaped a lot of how I took feedback and how really sought out feedback a lot from my mentors, now from my own coach, because I also have a coach. We all need coaching.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I talked to her and I asked her, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. What am I missing? What do you think I'm just not doing right from your perspective? Because but for me, I think it's easy right now to take it that way as well because I'm
Mm.
learning and I know I'm learning. And this
Mm.
entrepreneur thing is new. But I
Yeah.
also come with that growth mindset of I want to learn. I want you to tell me what I'm doing wrong so I can
Mhm.
actually get better.
Mm.
So as you can see, it's like a thread from when I was little to now. And that's why I think it's so fascinating what you do with your kids because you teaching them it's not that you are the important part is not that you're intelligent. The important part is that you put effort in and then you do well. And if you didn't do well, there's something for you to hold on to do better next time. It's just
Mm.
critical. I think
Yeah.
once your kids get to the workplace, they're going to be much better off than a lot of other people.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I seen a big improvement from them just when I try apply to all these concepts. He's he's he used to be perfectionist like me too, you know. But when I changed this concept, he put his hand up for all activity that he want to try. He just want to give a try, and he feel good when he take actions. Right? It's not as bad
Mhm.
when he start finally look at things like, oh, I don't have to maintain that perfectionist, you know, because I am actually growing. I'm keep getting life is all about working in progress. And, you know, uh, this is why I really enjoy doing parenting because it's well, I also growing at the same time. I'm also learning and modeling my kid at the same time, you
Mhm.
know, like instead of reactive, it's having that confident attitude, regardless how hard life is. I can
Mhm.
handle it, you know. We're gonna find out. So whether they make any mistake, it's all good. Let's fix it. You know, so they now no longer seeing mistake as a bad thing. It's an opportunity for us to learn, come up with ideas, and and it's easier. I used to think kids doesn't know, but oh my god, they're so good. They because they're not constrained like us adults. They so when
Yes.
you just create that safe space for them, they have so many ideas like, you'll be like, "Oh, thanks for I didn't get to see from that angle for" and you miss out all this opportunity
Yeah.
if you think I'm the big boss or you think I'm the parents, I hold all the authorities, you miss out, This is like some people, they look at working with smart people as a threat or is it a blessing, If where some people, they would feel that they wanna be the smartest in the room, but if you are the smartest in the room, you're not growing. You'd rather be the dumbest in the smartest room, then you'll be more opportunity to stretch even more.
Yeah.
So, I love how you share all the concept with the mindset. I know we can go even to, like, the whole
We
episode.
can go on forever.
And, it's, I would love to hear if any comments or any viewers wanna hear more details about Vanessa or, like, you can DM her or we can reach out to her to have her over back again and talking about on a certain topic. So, whichever you're interested in, we'd love to have her back. So, yeah, please comment below, like, if you wanna hear anything more from us or especially from Vanessa and her work. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the Wisdom Inside Out. Stay tuned. Please follow me on this social media platform.